College graduates, what's something you wish you knew before you attended? Story 1. I wish someone had told me that networking is just as important as getting good grades. Making connections with professors, classmates, and alumni can open doors that no GPA ever will. Story 2. Sleep. You won't succeed without it. You will learn faster, retain more, and do better work if you are well rested. Don't go through college on a sleep debt. You'll regret wasting your potential. Story 3. Go to your professor's office hours. Go to the tutoring center if you're struggling. I coasted through high school with A's and B's with almost no work. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing my first semester of college. My GPA started with a 1. Story 4. Most of your high school friends will be gone. You won't even talk to 80% of them after graduating. There's some that will stick, and you will get new friends soon. Story 5. Not finished yet, but I have realized that for all student-driven things, no one is really more qualified than you, since everyone is there for a short time. So don't hold yourself back, if anything interests you. Story 6. That for as tough as college is, real life is way harder. I spent most of college so excited to finish and finally be done with school. Then I got out and got slapped with a reality check real quick. Story 7. Find the free printer. Befriend cafeteria workers. Learn the cleaning schedules of janitorial for clean restroom visits. More importantly, school debt to income from degree ratio. Look into something like acquiring an associate's degree in a field with job demand. Get into the workforce sooner than later, hopefully with your degree. Story 8. It can be so much cheaper to go to community college before jumping straight into a 4-year program. Get an AAT and transfer to the big fancy university for your bachelor's. I could have saved so much money that way. Also, if you don't have good study skills and tend to wait until the last minute to work on things, you're going to have a bad time. If you suspect you have ADHD, find that out now and get the accommodations you need so you don't completely burn yourself out in college. Don't be like me and wait to get diagnosed until you start your master's. Story 9. Yeah. That I don't need a 4-year degree to work in IT, especially a support role. My degree will pretty much be useless after like 6 years. I could have read 5 or 6 books and learned almost everything that I learned at university. I will not make a lot of money starting out, even with IT experience while in university. Story 10. If you're in the US, it's usually cheaper to go to school abroad. Also, networking and internships are a must. Try to find a paid internship if nothing else. I know it's not always feasible for a lot of people, but it's still something you should try for. Story 11. How little time there is. Where I studied, each semester had 3 assignments. The first one was due around week 4, and because this was a new subject and you are all excited about it, you might stay up late a few nights to make sure it's good. But because you spent time on the assignment, you might not have kept up with classwork. And all of a sudden, assignment 2 looms and it's much bigger than assignment 1 and needs more time to do. But you're a bit behind, trying to catch up the learning you missed for assignment 1, and you're tired because you stayed up late. So assignment 2 is a slog. And then just when you've got assignment 2 in, and you've pulled an all-nighter to do it, and you're exhausted and don't have the brain state to learn anything else, assignment 3 is due. The only way around this is to start studying before the semester starts. And most important, save enough money that you don't need to work full-time while you're studying. It's easier if you work a job full-time for 6 months than do uni for 6 months. This was my experience doing a master's in Australia. Story 12. Bang a lot of women. Never again in your life will you be surrounded by such a high concentration of attractive and horny women. Don't squander it in the library. Story 13. How important time management really is. It's easy to think you can just wing it, but balancing coursework, extracurriculars, and a social life is harder than I thought. Story 14. Regardless of your end job, learn how to make adult friends and network. I have gotten 2 of my college friends their first industry jobs via knowing my other friend's office was looking for new hires in that specialty. I also received a job offer at Hyundai via doing project work through a professor's side project volunteer work. Also, figure out your education goals and put your efforts where they are worthwhile. For example, are you going for a perfect 4.0 GPA for grad school? Or what about doing a big project like SAE race car, rocketry, or research labs and sacrificing the 4.0 for a 3.5 GPA to get more project experience on your resume? Or are you graduating in a field where GPA doesn't really matter too much on your resume, and networking is what's important? Story 15. I didn't graduate, but a lot of schools, even reputable ones, are so poorly run they might as well be a scam. Fields like IT have terrible job prospects, and the university is manipulating statistics to show otherwise. There is no easy way to make good money. Story 16. It is not what you know, but who you know. Just look at how many actors are relatives of other actors. Were they really the best for the part? Although not as visible, it is the same in almost all other fields. Story 17. I would tell my pre-college that I have undiagnosed narcolepsy, and that no, life isn't supposed to be as hard as it is right now. You just can't stay awake because of a medical issue, and it's not a reflection of your character. Also, go see a doctor about it ASAP, because halfway through you'll end up wildly depressed for trying to live a normal college life while struggling with undiagnosed narcolepsy. Story 18. The importance of paid summer internships, especially in STEM. If the company you work for likes you, you could have a job lined up with them after you graduate. You're also generally much more likely to get hired into a good job after graduation if you have relevant work experience from internships. Grades are super important for being competitive for internships. Most have a minimum 3.0 GPA requirement. Story 19. The first advice that comes to mind for me. Get involved with clubs, try something new, build a social life that doesn't involve drinking. Don't sit in the library or your dorm alone every night, and don't go too crazy partying. This is probably the easiest it's ever going to be to make friends for the rest of your life. You're all in the same general area, operating on a similar schedule and unmarried, childless. Story 20. Just how bad of a college can be when you're in debt and realize that you hate your major. Boy, no one says that when they're encouraging you to sign your life away. Story 21. I did not graduate, but before making the decision to go, I wish someone would have told me that if you don't have a co-signer, those loan companies will give you a couple years of loans and then suddenly cut you off. So you're 3 years into a 5-year Bach Master's program and suddenly can't finish it, but still owe the $90K you took out. Oh, and that $90K is now $130K. Story 22. Look at how assignments are awarded grades. Often there will be percents for different parts of it, and if one part, even if you enjoy it more than the rest, is awarded 5%. Don't put 99% of your time into that. Ask me how I know. Story 23. Networking is key. Get to know people and do social things. Industry events, work, study programs, whatever. Every decent job I've ever had is because I knew someone, not because of any grade or class. Community college is an excellent place to start. You don't need to spend $40K a year to take Math 101. Relax with the partying and the drinking. Same goes for WoW. Story 24. Many in academia think they're more important than they are. Some professors are true experts. Others just prefer teaching over the job market. Few are neutral, many have biases. Listen, but be aware of their opinions. If you strongly disagree, avoid confronting them too harshly, they're human too. Story 25. As someone who studied engineering, having an internship will make finding a job after college easier. My classmates who didn't do internships struggled to find jobs after graduating. It sucks that entry-level jobs require you to have experience now. Story 26. Try to view college as an opportunity to learn cool stuff rather than as employment preparation. If you view this as preparing you for a job, you will skip a bunch of really enjoyable things and you may not learn as much as you would otherwise. You will never again have an opportunity to focus so heavily on just learning new stuff. Story 27. Getting a degree does not equal a well-paying job when you graduate. Your best is to start looking for jobs in your field, at least midway through your college journey, if not right from the start. That job at the gas station might pay the bills now, but when you graduate, that's all anyone is going to see you have experience in. The piece of paper from the college doesn't mean a lick of spit to them. After you've graduated, I'm serious. It is way easier to find work as an intern or entry level when you are in school than after you've graduated school. Hiring agents just love to mark down that they hired a college student over a college grad, for whatever dumb reason. Story 28. I wish someone would have told me to get used to having a lot of freedom. Having come from a very controlling family, to deal with suddenly having no restrictions was too overwhelming. I learned more about vodka and rejection than anything I studied. I failed a lot of classes but muddled through. If I was better at self-discipline, my life would probably be a lot better today. Story 29. Nobody told me how expensive textbooks were going to be. Started buying international editions and renting online saved myself thousands. My first semester I dropped $800 on books I barely opened. Story 30. Nobody tells you how important it is to learn to cook basic meals. Spent my entire freshman year burning through money on takeout and meal plans. Finally learned to cook sophomore year and saved so much money I could have used for textbooks. Story 31. How everything works, which classes to take, when, and where to show up. The coursework wasn't hard for me. The decisions and the logistics were difficult. Story 32. That you actually have to put in a lot of time and effort to academically succeed. I barely studied in HS, didn't do optional homework, graduated near the top of my class and went to an Ivy League school. I put in the same time and effort at my university and got kicked out after my third semester for failing too many classes. I never learned how to put in effort or study and it killed me. I had to teach myself how to study, focus in class and work hard in order to succeed, even at the college I ended up at, even though it was far easier than my first uni. I'm doing well in life, but all of my friends from my first school went on to work at FAAng companies and retired early, whereas I have mostly just maintained in-house legacy CRUD applications for the past 15 years and will most likely never be able to afford to retire. Even if you think you're a genius, you're in for a rude awakening at university if you don't know how to work and study. Story 33. I think this applies to everyone, because you don't know yet what your experience will be. For me, everyone told me that I'd make lifelong friends and thrive socially as I focus on my classes. I focused on my classes and excelled academically, but I had an atrocious time socially as everyone I met turned out to betray me, abuse me, or hurt me in some way. I socialized in diverse groups within and outside of my university, and the result was the same. I think people should be realistic with incoming college students and let them know that they should pursue their interests, focus on their coursework, and let everything else be what it is because you don't know until you go. I went in expecting fabulous friendships, and I graduated without even one friend, and I collapsed in tears. Story 34. Make sure there is a market for your major from your university or college. My university was undesirable for education majors, my area, but highly prized for accounting and industrial engineers. Story 35. I didn't attend college, but most of my friends did. Biggest thing they say? They wish they went to trade school. It's not for everybody, but it's a great option. 3. 4-year apprenticeship, 2 months of school per year, $1,000, $1,500 per year. For that schooling, grants and bursaries that pay $1,000, $2,000 per year of apprenticeship, can go on employment insurance while in school. The other 10 months of the year are earning while you learn on the job. Finish the apprenticeship debt-free. Generally, in Canada, $60, $70K per year, starting wage as an apprentice plus overtime. 6 figures by your third year is not only possible, but common in the right trade and with overtime. Near unlimited ceiling depending on your ability, trade, specialty, willingness to work OT and entrepreneur mindset. Tons of well-paying lateral moves for when you get tired of being on the tools. Plumbing, HVE, and HD mechanic are regularly hiring for people in my area, and journeyman rate is $50, $60 per hour. I'm a welder by trade. After 12 years, I pivoted into construction management. I easily clear double what most of my college-educated friends do, and I have way more time off as well, since I don't work a 9-to-5 mon-free schedule. Story 36. Don't schedule 8 a.m. classes. Mon-free. I had to wake up at 6 to make it on time for high school, so I figured 8 a.m. classes would be a breeze, considering I dormed and classes were a 10-minute walk. I ended up sleeping through half those classes and after that semester never scheduled anything before 9 a.m. Story 37. Communicate with your profs a bit. Not overbearingly, of course, they have a lot on their plate, but if your submission portal allows for comments, always ask for extra feedback. This will show that you are there to learn and better yourself. I see at least a letter grade of improvement in assignments from the beginning to end of a semester. Story 38. I wish I took my high school grades more seriously. I pretty much never did homework assignments nor studied. Simply attending and moderately trying in class was enough to be a 3.4 GPA student. I did well on SAT, but my GPA really limited my options and scholarship opportunities. I could have saved about $50,000 on tuition if I just spent like 1 to 2 hours a week doing homework or brushing up on exam material. I had to bust my 40-60 hours a week every college summer working manual labor to afford enrollment. I didn't have a single vacation or really do anything fun, so I certainly got my punishment. Story 39. Grades didn't matter as much as making memories and living life. College is the only time you can really open up and find who you are. Be open to new experiences and talk to as many people as possible. Story 40. Don't fall into the habit of sleeping until noon every day. Not only do you waste a lot of your days, but this will be a really hard adjustment when you can't do it anymore. Story 41. Look early into what courses set you up to double major. I didn't realize how close I was to having a second BS until it was too late for me to feasibly take the remaining courses. Story 42. That I shouldn't choose a major based on what I'm good at, but the type of environment I would prefer to work in for 40 years. I prefer IT non-customer facing. I chose business, and most people hire me for my people-touch management skills. Story 43. For me, I really wish I had understood the importance of on-time management. I came in thinking I could just coast through like I did in high school, but the reality hit hard. The workload is a lot more demanding, and I quickly learned that staying organized and planning ahead can make or break your semester. Story 44. I graduated with my associate's degree at the same time as my high school diploma. The whole time I was so grateful I could do it for free. College is busy work and I did everything online, so it was self-taught. Use UR scholarships. Story 45. Before going to college, I wish I knew how much time management and self-discipline would be crucial. It's easy to get caught up in the fun and freedom, but balancing social life, assignments, and personal time is harder than it looks. Also, don't stress too much about finding your perfect career path right away. It's okay to not have everything figured out. College is about growth, experimenting, and figuring it out as you go. Story 46. Unless you're going into a specific field that requires certs or qualifications like STEM, law, teaching, etc., or going for a master's or higher, do what you'll enjoy to get good grades and have time to make connections. References are the second most important, closely behind actually graduating. Who you know opens more doors than what you know. Most places just want to see the document to say their employee has X or Y. Do what you know what you'll like or want to do. Don't try to challenge yourself for a better degree. I started with engineering, hated it, changed to business admin. So many places cared more about why I changed majors more than the degree I have. I ended up going back 5 years later to finish my electrical engineering to avoid that. Multiple degrees are also a huge help. Join extracurriculars and clubs or internships. Many places like to see multitasking and involvement in non-requisites. Plus, you'll likely find the aforementioned references, friends, and parties, social gatherings that you'll be worried about. Your free time can actually be used for relaxing or classwork or connecting rather than hunting down parties. Story 47. I was wasting a long time working my way through school when I could have been working in my chosen field and making money that I didn't need a college degree for. Story 48. If you aren't certain about what you want to do, there are options other than retail, fast food, or college. AmeriCorps, jobs at national parks. Many cities and counties have programs for 18 to 21. No shame in starting college after a few years of experiencing the world. Story 49. You are there to experience life, but you're also paying to learn. Show up to class, take notes, study, do homework, and then go find time to do the absurd things you can only do in college. Don't waste either half. Story 50. Don't fucking listen to your college advisors, especially if you know they're steering you wrong. Lady told me to take 3 1-credit courses in 1 semester so I wouldn't get exhausted. I finished in 2 years because I listened to my gut and did it the way I wanted to. Story 51. All the people I went to school with that were successful had large social circles and were quite outgoing. Not all of them had amazing grades, but they were good at networking and meeting people. Also, a lot of them came from wealthy families and already had good connections to leverage. Getting good grades in college still helps, but it's more viewed as a formality instead of a deal maker. Networking and being well-connected gets you farther. There's a reason so many CEOs were in well-known fraternities. Story 52. That when the industry says, we need people with computer science degrees, finishing a master in that degree does not mean you get a job easy or even at all. The industry lies. I have a BSc in physics and an MSc in computer science. I have been unemployed since graduating and have been doing trades work ever since to make a living. Story 53. Unless you're good at and want to go into the hard sciences, medicine, nursing, engineering included, get a business degree. The rest is a waste of time. Story 54. I wish I had known that no, I do not need the maximum amount I can get from each student loan I applied for. I got bachelor's and master's degrees and took out the max amount I could with any loan I could get. 38 years old and still paying them off today. And I know tons of other people my age that did the exact same thing. As a college kid, I thought I needed all that money so I could have fun and be comfortable enough financially. I thought, once I get a job, I'll pay it all off in no time. I was so wrong. I wish I had realized I could have scraped by with less and been less stressed today. Story 55. I wish I knew what I wanted before I went. Young me really had no idea what I wanted to do for a career because I lacked life experience on my own. I feel like I rushed myself through school and forced myself into a major I liked just to graduate. Now I'm in my 30s and have a much better idea of what I want to do career-wise, but no time or money to go back and earn another degree for it. Story 56. Not me, but for others. Have a general idea of what kind of job you want after college before going to college. Do your research on the day-to-day life of that job and the pros and cons of those kinds of jobs. This is the kind of stuff you spend summer camps and elective classes in high school, middle school learning about. Figuring it out in college is very, very expensive. Story 57. Take full advantage of things on offer. Good universities often offer fun courses, sports clubs, gyms, and experiences at a fraction of the cost effort of trying those things as a graduated adult. It can be easy to just go into sleeping in and watching lectures online, bare minimum mode, or getting too caught up in academics. If I was to do it over again, I would throw myself in more to meeting new people and having those experiences. Hindsight is a fine thing though, because I only really developed the confidence for that post-graduation. Enjoy yourself. Story 58. Take more classes that aren't just prerequisites. I wish I would have discovered myself more or had more fun with some classes that weren't required for my degree. Start with community college for the first 2 years to get those prereqs of the way, and then transfer to a large university. It's much cheaper and will set the foundation of college instead of just jumping straight from high school to a large university. Plus, community college has amazing professors that can be more 1.1 with you because the classes tend to be smaller. You'll spend half the price on college, but your degree will still be from a large university too. Good luck. Story 59. The food quality of the college cafeterias. It wasn't until my final year I found their listing on the state health department website. It was bad, keeping raw and cooked food together, rat droppings, etc. It's no wonder people got sick sometimes. Story 60. I knew this going into it because I was 23 when I started, but college is so much better than real life. Never forget that. You will never been in a situation like that ever again in your life. Enjoy it, take full advantage of everything it has to offer, and get as much as you can out of the experience. It truly will be one of the best times of your life. And I don't mean just partying. Take interesting electives, join a club, starting hitting the gym, bullshit with your professors. Once you get out, real life starts, and real life isn't nearly as fun. Story 61. While I am not a graduate, I am 29 and have been in and out of school since 18. Currently in school again, finishing my bachelor's. But my advice is for out-of-state students or even international. Do some research for OOS tuition. Some states only require you to be a resident in their state for 6 months when the actual school itself requires a year. I knew going into my first semester it was going to be expensive, but to my surprise, I found out much later that my college only recognizes residents who've been living in the state for a full year to qualify for in-state tuition. Needless to say, my first year of schooling is going to cost more than the rest of my time here. Furthermore, not just for out-of-staters or students, but find a job where you work for the college and look at their benefits. My current job offers me a 50% tuition discount for as long as I am there, and the job pays back up to $10,000 in student loan debt. Granted, it's $100 a month for 10 years, but it's something. Depending on the job, you can also qualify for work-study aid. So when I hit residency status, my tuition is going to be cut down by 2-3. My 50% tuition discount and grant money will cover the rest. I'll essentially be going to my college for free. Story 62. Reach out for help as much as possible. Professors, TAs will not batter down your door to come help you. You must reach out. If you go through your classes as just another faceless student ID number, they will fail you without a second thought the second your grades are numerically failing. You will receive zero mercy, zero benefit of the doubt. But if the prof knows you on a first-name basis, has seen you in their office hours like 20 times over the semester, etc., when it comes time to write that F in the grade submission app, they'll find it quite hard to fail you. Might accidentally slip and put a CI instead. Oops. Always remember that profs are human and have way more control over grades than HS teachers do. They can cut you a lot of slack. Or be like, sorry, it's a 69, 9999, not a 70, so you get a D+. In fact, no, D. Just because you asked me to round it. Story 63. This is kind of campus dependent, so AMV. Stay in on Saturday nights. The laundry room, gym, or other shared spaces will be empty, and you can get your work done without distraction because your dorm floor will be out. This worked for me my entire sophomore year. BC, the Big Ten school I went to, had a lot of nightlife during the week. Eventually, my buddies started doing it too, so I did have some people to hang out with if I wanted. Story 64. Back when I TA'd, I always gave this advice for better grades to freshmen. Show up to class. Do the readings. You have a ton of sudden freedom, and lots of people fail to do those simple things. Week 1, it's super crowded between periods and way less so, week 4. Story 65. That a good GPA is irrelevant. C's get degrees. But what is very relevant is the reputation of the university and the program that you attended. Earning a 4.0 from a program with a poor reputation is basically as good as no degree at all. I know this from first-hand experience. I earned a 4.0, but I didn't find out about the program's poor reputation till after I graduated and started having my resume rejected for no other reason than where I graduated. Story 66. Cut the douchebaggery. You made it through an admissions process, and not the school. When you finish the school, nobody cares where you went as much as you think. In the job market, at least, Ivies and such are still impressive. This comes from someone who had a full ride to a T10 liberal arts school, to flunking out horribly and going back to CC, then transferring in and doing undergrad at a rising star state school, getting into the top school in the state, and T20 in the nation, for masters during COVID, leaving it be because it sucked and was expensive, going back to my alma mater for my MS, then staying there and now on my second year of my PhD. I wish I was working, but this is where I am right now. I've been around. Also, community college, trade school, and junior colleges do not hurt and do not reflect anything on your intelligence whether or not you attend. It's never too late as the school is always there. I've tutored kids into FANGs that were younger and older than I am now. Save the money when you can, on the CCJC part. Take advantage of your transfer pipelines within your state. California is CCUC systems. Texas is CCUHUT TAMU systems. Most public schools have partnerships with their local JC and CCs to get you your degree in the best way possible, and will even let you attend their career fairs, networking opportunities when possible. Story 67. That my fiancé was going to cheat on me while we were engaged during our last 2 years of college. College was great other than that, courses, classes, and etc. Story 68. This is the most solid advice you will find. I first went to university for a couple years and was pretty withdrawn. Went north and worked in the oil patch for 8 years and hated it. Went back to university at 32, and although I graduated with 3.78 GPA, I also left that university with recommendation letters from 4 faculty members, 2 of which were departments heads, and a resume of summer work at their research facilities. I somewhat stay in contact and have been recommended to enter the master's programs. Landed my dream job 3 weeks after graduation. Story 69. I literally got 2 of my design project teammates their first industry job through networking and getting a priority interview during a hiring event. Similarly, got a job offer for Hyundai via my professor's side project team's lead, working for them and scouting for new hires. The amount of friends who have gotten job offers via extended friend groups out of college really shows how important having even casual connections is. Story 70. Having my last year be COVID year really drove this home. The networking opportunities dried up overnight. I went into my final year being pretty confident of getting a job at a Big Four, but when all the networking events get canceled overnight, and you no longer have anyone to see your letters of recommendation, and your internships get canceled. Yeah. Story 71. Yep. Meeting people today talking about how online university is just as good as attending in person. Nope. 20 years later, I still talk to people I went with, get assistance from them, have had references and leads from them, etc. I do the same in return and we all benefit. Story 72. Someone told me when I was in freshman year, if the only thing you got at university is an education, you've wasted your time and money. You can learn all the material from home for free. The only thing university does is allow you to connect with peers. Story 73. Yep. Also, no employer has ever asked what my grades GPA was. Not to say you shouldn't try to get good grades, but some of the people I was in class with would have breakdowns if they didn't ace every test. Story 74. This to the T. I finished undergrad in 2000 and was just so jealous of people getting jobs right after school. They did networking or got an extra internship and it paid off for them early. Story 75. Networking is more important IMO. All the people in my school who made it were just charming, attractive, and knew how to network but hated school and got C's often, but made sure to have their parents buy them an internship position where they charmed everyone. I was busy being an A student with it, realizing in American society, if you're actually just book smart, it's frowned upon, unlike in other cultures. It's actually considered looser behavior to just focus on being studious. Your chances are higher if you're socially adept and keen on relationships, knowing who you know. Story 76. Absolutely. And if you are in somewhat of a niche field, the professors at your university are probably some of the most important contacts you can get. Your job interview starts on day one of your university. Be your best at all times. Story 77. Agree 100%. Retired professor here. Can't tell you what a difference it makes if a student or a couple of classmates approach me to introduce themselves or chit-chat. Just getting to know the students was one of the bright spots in my career. Learned about students' sports activities, volunteer work, accomplishments, part-time jobs, career aspirations, things in common, all go a long way to develop a relationship with profs. I often knew about student bursaries, grants, or part-time campus jobs that I passed along to these students I had met. After graduation, I was able to help get the students' job interviews and/or introductions to employers I knew or who had asked me for a recommendation. It was also easy to give these kind of students great employment references. Employers were often impressed that these students stood out amongst their peers. Do it. Most faculty enjoy and take a keen interest in students who take the initiative to approach their profs. Story 78. One of my biggest life regrets is never having had the opportunity to go to college. And it's as much for the social finishing school aspect as it is the educational vocational. I really could have used those extra years of compulsory socializing or networking. Story 80. Hard disagree. I didn't need any sleep back when I was 22 and had so many great memories from late-night shenanigans that occurred because I said, I'll just be tired in class tomorrow. Now, if I went through college today at 40, it would be a very different answer because I don't operate nearly as well without sleep as I did when I was younger. Story 81. People will tell you it's not just about the money, but when you're taking on a mountain of debt, unless you're from a wealthy background, studying for a well-paying job is pretty important. Sure, there are no guarantees in life. A lot of people studied computer science and now can't land a job. However, if you're studying something with very limited employment opportunities to begin with, or the pay in the field is miserable, you're not just risking things going poorly, you're setting yourself up for a struggle. My advice for everyone is to find something to love about the thing you're doing. You may not enjoy a job, but if you're good at it, there's a lot of satisfaction to be found in doing something that's productive and doing it well. On the flip side, if you're trying to get paid to do something you love, you're more likely to get exploited and you're more likely to start resenting the thing you love. Anything you have to do will get less enjoyable over time. Story 83. Also, even in a good major, you should have some kind of plan for what job skill sets you're working towards. Try as hard as possible to get relevant internships. Story 84. Just keep in mind that industry trends will change while you're in school. What looks like easy money today will be flooded with entry-level applicants in 4 years. The reverse is true too. I started uni during the dot-com crash and entered the tech workforce riding the rebound. Story 85. The battle already begins in high school. If you don't apply to a university with an engineering school, you will never have that option to become an engineer.